He spent 5 years giving glasses to people living on less than $4 per day, who otherwise would not be able to see. This inspired him to create an industry-changing new venture called Warby Parker. Him and his friends changed the price of prescription glasses from $400 to $95. Plus, they give a pair to a person in need. This innovation combines problem solving to social need, and Warby Parker is leading the conversation. Plywood presents Neil Blumenthal.
Who here has paid more than $200 for a pair of glasses? Raise your hand. More than 300? 400? Okay. We started Warby Parker because we all had that similar experience, walking into an optical shop, getting super excited about a pair of glasses and walking out feeling like we got punched in the stomach. We thought that there had to be a better way, so we set out to design the frames we love, charge a fraction of the price, and in the process build a company that we thought could be a model for how for-profit companies should behave. My journey actually starts, I'm a New York City kid, so I guess I'm a Yankee, but I'm really a Met fan, which is probably not good in this city. But you guys beat up on us so regularly that maybe it's okay. Went to college, went to Tufts, studied international relations and history, and was one of those college students that was bright-eyed, I want to save the world. I don't know exactly how, but that's what I want to do. And ended up getting really excited about foreign policy and traveled to the Netherlands and did some graduate coursework on negotiation and conflict resolution, and returned to New York to work at a think tank that developed policies to end deadly conflict. So looking at Israel-Palestine, at the time what was going on in the former Yugoslavia, under the premise that if we could get people to stop killing each other, then we could focus on issues like health and education. My brief stint there, I realized policy wasn't for me. I wanted to do something where my actions had a direct impact. Whereas in policy, we were dependent on the power brokers, the politicians, or in this case, warlords, and just wanted to do something where every day I felt like I was making progress. I met this really interesting eye doctor who had this idea to train low-income women to start their own businesses selling glasses. And to be honest, I don't know if I was ever super passionate about women's empowerment issues or eye care per se, but I found the combination to be particularly powerful. For one, when you create jobs for women, all these studies show that they tend to use the capital on the health and education of their children. So you have this great multiplier effect. And two, when you look at glasses, right, they're the ultimate productivity tool. You can't learn if you can't see. You can't work if you can't see. And it boggled my mind that after 800 years since glasses were invented, right, there were hundreds of millions of people that didn't have access to them. So I sort of ended up being the second employee at this nonprofit social enterprise and moved down to El Salvador and started to work on this program. And one thing that you learn is really how to market when you're trying to sell somebody a product that's living on less than $4 a day. You realize, what's important, how to be scrappy. For one thing, everybody wants a job, right? Everybody wants to be able to provide for their family. The other thing is that everybody cares about how they look. Fashion matters, and it's not a judgment, it's not good or bad, but I could be in northern Bangladesh and people would rather be blind than wear a donated pair of 1970s cat eyes, right? Because you'll get ridiculed by your neighbors and your friends. So one thing that we did is we thought, what happens when you start treating people as value-conscious consumers versus needy beneficiaries? So we actually designed glasses according to the needs and wants of these communities. And I spent a lot of time in Asia, visited sort of the factories, and learned all about the manufacturing process. And we designed for these communities. We priced the glasses for these communities. We found that in order to make glasses affordable, sort of the magic number was about 10% of someone's monthly income. So in parts of rural India and Bangladesh, that might be like $3. In parts of El Salvador, Guatemala, that might be $7 or so. But the point is that if you're able to make that sort of value argument, people will act with their wallet. And we found that a pair of glasses improves someone's productivity 35% and increases their income 20%. If you think about that, that's an extra day's work per week, right? That's one of the most profound international development impacts that I've ever come across, all with just a simple pair of glasses, technology that's been around for about 800 years. After 5 years at VisionSpring and expanding it to about 10 different countries, I decided to go back to graduate school, went to Wharton, and met a couple really sharp guys, Jeff, Andy, and Dave. And we were in the computer lab and we were chatting, and we all had that experience that I described earlier of getting excited about a pair of glasses, but then learning that was going to be $500, getting upsold at every stage of the process. Oh, you need this type of lens, this coating, this. And it seemed crazy to us, right? Why were glasses as expensive as an iPhone? And Andy had this great idea. He said, well, what if we were to sell them online? Right? We had seen category after category move online. Hell, you could buy engagement rings online, you can buy shoes. How come nobody had started selling glasses online? So we thought, wow, light bulbs went off. There's a real opportunity here. And we all went sort of back home that night, and I think we all had trouble sleeping because the next morning we were all searching each other out in our different classrooms to say, hey, I was thinking about this idea. And we got really excited. Literally, we went to a bar later that night and we promised each other two things. One was that we were going to bust our butts to make this a reality because we knew this was going to be harder than anything we've ever done before. And two, that we were going to remain friends throughout the process. And we knew that would be challenging because there had been a lot of people far smarter than us that had made a similar commitment, but throughout the act of starting a business, quickly found themselves enemies with their best friends. So we figured, how can we remain friends? And one of the things that we did was, it sounds cheesy, but we literally met in the same bar every month from that time on and did a 360 review. So we would put somebody in the hot seat and say, hey, you're doing this well. Hey, this can be improved. Hey, when you shoot me a 10-page email at 2 in the morning, I want to punch you in the face. And it really allowed sort of us to create this really productive working environment, one built on trust and feedback. So one of the things that got us excited about the industry is sort of looking at the dynamics. Typically, you might buy a pair of Oakley, Ray-Ban, Oliver Peoples, or Arnett or Persol glasses. Those are sort of the preeminent eyewear-only brands. Or you might buy a pair of Ralph Lauren glasses or Chanel glasses. You may buy those glasses from Lens Crafters or Pearl Vision or Sunglass Hut, and you might use iMed, which is the second largest vision insurance plan in the country, to pay for those glasses. What we discovered is that all of these companies are owned by one company, Luxottica, which does about $8 billion a year in revenue and really dominates this industry. And to us, wow, now I know why glasses are so expensive. We found that frames and lenses are marked up about 10 to 20 times what they cost to manufacture. And then at the retail level, what we're seeing is that glasses are being marked up 3 to 5 times what they're paying wholesale for it, which to us seemed a bit high, because also when you look at when you look at traditional apparel and accessories businesses, they're usually operating on 2 to 2.5x margins, and we always thought of glasses as fashion accessories. Sure, there's a little more customization involved, but we thought there was a lot of meat in the system. So we thought, what if we were to build a brand, we were to build a clean, easy-to-use website, charge a reasonable single price point, prescription lenses included, so $95, and just provide amazing customer service. And we thought this could be a powerful way to disrupt an industry. And we thought it was an inherent good to try and transform this industry and transfer billions of dollars from these multinational corporations to normal people like us. As we were sort of working through the model, the one question kept popping up. How do you buy glasses without trying them on? And we thought, well, is there a technological solution? After all, we're going to start a tech company and sell glasses online. And we found sort of the best-in-class facial recognition software where you could upload your photo and virtually try on glasses. And we thought, this is a great solution. But one of the things that we would always gut check is, would we personally buy glasses, having used this tool? And we thought, maybe, but maybe not. So then we brainstormed and we came up with this idea of a home try-on where we would ship people 5 pairs of glasses. They'd have 5 days to try them on with no obligation to buy and completely free. And then if there was a pair or two they liked, they would return the frames, we'd put in the prescription glasses and ship it to them. This idea really gave us the confidence to continue to move forward because we figured that we solved this trying on issue. So we kept pushing forward and thought about how are we going to build a business that is a place that we want to come to work to every day. And for us, that meant how can we be stakeholder centric? So, right, companies, legal entities are designed to be shareholder centric, but we really want to sort of consider our customers, our employees, the environment, and the community at large in every decision that we make. So for our customers, it's delivering products at an exceptionally low price, a fraction of the price, providing great customer service. For our employees, it's about creating an environment for them to thrive, whether it's great feedback. So all of our employees have monthly informal feedback sessions and quarterly 360 reviews, so they have the opportunity to grow, and we're each responsible for each other's professional and personal growth. Thinking about the physical office, having an open layout. So the first thing that we did in our most recent office is knock down all the walls because we want people to have physical visibility into what's going on, because when we talk to our employees, one of their motivations for working with us is to learn. And this way, they're able to see what's going on. We have full team meetings. We're now up to 85 people, which makes sort of an awkward gathering. But the point is that we want everybody to know how, what, and why we're doing what we're doing. Having quarterly leadership workshops with the leadership agency of record for McKinsey, sort of talking about how to have difficult conversations, how to give and receive feedback. These hard but soft skills that are so important to the workplace. Thinking about the environment. How can we minimize our environmental impact? So one thing that is surprisingly easy is to be carbon neutral. So what we do is every year we calculate all of our carbon emissions. We take a look at what the energy that's being used to manufacture our glasses, which we assume is being produced primarily with coal-fired power plants, the fossil fuels that are being used to ship those glasses into the US, into our distribution centers, and then out to our customers. Thinking about the electricity use in those warehouses, in our office, and then we purchase carbon offsets. We also just started using in all of our black frames recycled acetate. At the moment, we can't use recycled acetate in some of our other colors just because they're not as rich, but we're working on it. And then, of course, it's about how can we be an active participant in our community. So the best example of that is our Buy a Pair, Give a Pair program, where for every pair that we sell, we donate to VisionSpring to cover their costs to manufacture a pair of glasses. And for us, this was critical, right? We wanted to make sure we were having that impact, providing a pair for every pair that we were selling, that we weren't just giving a % of revenue or profits because we thought that might be manipulated in the future somehow. And at the end of the day, it's actually not about the dollars spent, it's about the impact, and it's about getting glasses on people's faces. So we sort of built this company sort of around all of these values. And of course, the challenge then is, well, how do you build a brand around that? Because that is a ton of messages, right? How long did that just take me to explain all that stuff? I think it was like 15, 20 minutes. A lot of time. And when you have a split second to get somebody's attention to try and sell them something, right? you need to figure out how do you prioritize those messages? How do you build a brand around it? Because even though all this stuff is appeals to our heart, at the end of the day, we buy based on what we think is cool. So, yes, maybe not. I don't know. That's what my research has shown. So we had to rank order these messages, and it might not have been sort of the priorities for us that drove, like me personally, every day, but it was important to sort of rank order the hierarchy in terms of the branding, in terms of our communications materials. And that is to mirror the purchase process for glasses. So first and foremost, you buy glasses based on how they look on your face. So we're a fashion brand first. So that's the first thing that you're going to learn about us, is that we make beautiful glasses. The second thing when you're buying glasses that you care about is the price and the quality and the service. So that's the second thing that you'll learn about us, is that we charge $95 and we provide amazing customer service. One of the points of pride is that we measure customer satisfaction through what's called Net Promoter Score, and we measure that religiously, and our score is now a 91, whereas best-in-class folks like Apple and Zappos are at 78 and 82 respectively. So it's something that we take a lot of pride in, and we think that a lot of that is due to the fact that we hire smart people and we empower them to make people happy, and we create that office environment for them to thrive. And then of course, third is you'll find out that we're trying to do good in the world. And again, the reason why we don't lead with that is because we're not convinced that the bulk of our customers will purchase based on that fact alone. We think that it's going to help us recruit and retain talent. We think that's going to make people more likely to talk about us. It's going to make me excited to come to work too every day, but we're not sure that's going to make people actually buy glasses. So we build this brand, we put together the business model, and the question was, how do we launch this thing? We invested, the four of us put our life savings into the company, and we didn't pay ourselves salary or anything, and invested in three things: our collection, our website, and then PR, knowing that you only have one shot to launch a fashion brand. So we were fortunate enough to get features in Vogue and GQ. GQ called us the Netflix of eyewear. A couple days later, we were in Daily Candy before we had a chance to reach out to them. And we just have gotten a ton of press since then, and the company has just shot off like a rocket ship. We hit our first year sales targets in 3 weeks, sold out of our top 15 styles in 4 weeks, and accumulated a wait list of about 20,000 people. And it was one of those moments where it's like, this is awesome, and then it's like, oh man, how are we going to deal with this? So we literally had no sold out functionality on the website. So that was the first thing that we did. We huddled up in my kitchen, and we're like, okay, we're getting all these orders, we clearly can't handle them, what do we do? And we discussed, should we just keep taking them? And we'll apologize later, we'll figure something out. And we thought, there's a lot of orders coming in, and that's probably not the best way. Is that how we would want to be treated? So we thrown up some sold out functionality and just profusely apologized, and then just spent the next few months basically spending all day answering customer phone calls, responding to customer emails, and sort of laying the groundwork for what would be a culture of customer service. Since then, we now have, as I mentioned, about 85 people. We continue to grow pretty rapidly, where you see some of these sort of major changes in our sort of growth has really been due to some big press pieces in the New York Times and CBS Sunday Morning, in CBS This Morning, actually, which was strange that there was a piece in CBS This Morning that drove more traffic and sales than the Today Show, which has a fraction of the viewership. But I think it was because Charlie Rose and Gayle King really focused on our business model, and we're finding that the more we share, the more people relate to our company and our brand. And I think we're entering in sort of this branded age. While brands have been around a while, you had Louis Vuitton back in the day stamping trunks, and that was sort of the first stage of branding, was just to like put your mark on it. Then sort of we got into the age of Mad Men, right, in the 40s, 50s, and 60s, where it was tell a little bit of a story, but just tell the customers what you want them to believe about the product, regardless of whether it was true or not. And now I think we're entering the age of much more sophisticated branding. And the reason is not because people are saying, oh, this is a good thing. It's because you have to. We're in the age of the internet where access to information is so ubiquitous, right, that you can't hide anymore. Right? You need to tell people about your supply chain, otherwise they're going to discover it themselves. You need to sort of communicate what your values are because people are going to start shopping based on that. Right? The idea that you can just put a glossy ad and a high price and create a fictitious world of aspiration because you're in a magazine are over. Right? You care what your friends are buying because of how they learned about a brand. You want to be the first to know. You want to know every little piece about it. So for us, when we do things, we try and do things that are authentic to who we are, that have a compelling narrative, that are beautiful, because we're a design focused organization, a fashion brand. And we try and do stuff that's unexpected, that people want to talk about, that adds to some virality. An example of that was our first fashion presentation. You know, typically, right, you do a fashion show, you do it on a runway, you do it under the tents in Lincoln Center or downtown in the Meatpacking District in Manhattan. We decided to do it in the New York Public Library. And the reason was because the New York Public Library had a big impact on us. For one, it was a place that I used to go when I was young to read. I'm not sure if kids go to libraries anymore. But it was also where we discovered our namesake. So the name Warby Parker actually comes from two early Jack Kerouac characters, Warby Pepper and Zag Parker. And the reason why sort of we identified with Jack Kerouac and the Beat Generation is because they had a profound influence on culture in America and were sort of part of that sort of counterculture movement that really helped shape sort of American society today. And we're trying to sort of have a similar impact and transform sort of the optical industry. So we sort of went back to the New York Public Library. It was the 125th year anniversary, so we thought it was a great time to celebrate it. What we did was we took over 6 tables in the great reading room, and we sort of did this guerrilla presentation. We had a hotel room about a block away where we did hair and makeup for about 25 models, and we snuck them in one by one. And I think the security guards were like, wow, there's a lot of good-looking girls and guys in here. And then we had about 30 editors come and meet us outside, and we were really cryptic. We sent them a letterpress invitation with a vellum sheet with a reading list and a New York Public Library card, and we said, shh, you know, meet us in front of that big building on 42nd Street and 5th Avenue at 3 o'clock on the dot. They came, they met us, we walked them up to the room, and then at 3:30 on the dot, we had all the models put on the glasses and lift up these books with the frame name by Warby Parker. And it created this just really interesting experience, and we ended up stealing the day during Fashion Week, spending a fraction of the cost of what other brands spend on their sort of runway shows, and got a ton of press. We even timed it to happen the day before Fashion Week started, so that way we wouldn't compete with everybody else for press as well. I use this as an example of what happens when sort of you tell a story and you go deep into who you are as a brand. You know, we've tried to do this time and time again, whether it's a party for Buddy Holly, who's certainly an iconic glasses wearer and inspired one of our frames, the Thatcher frame. We celebrated his birthday on what would have been his 75th birthday, and had some people from a recent album that covered a bunch of his songs. And of course we had a cake and champagne, and it was a blast. We also have started to dabble with sort of retail. And one of the things that we believe is that the future of retail is sort of a combination of e-commerce and bricks and mortar. You know, the first example of that for us is our home try-on program, right? There's a physical interaction there. And then what we did was we put together a temporary holiday store that we called the Warby Parker Holiday Spectacle Bazaar. And we took over a 3,500 square foot garage that had never been used for retail before, and ended up probably being the largest glasses store in the world, and just had a lot of fun. We put in yurts, and we're selling glasses out of yurts. We were selling Christmas trees. We were selling, we partnered with a group called Best Made Axes that were selling axes. I don't know why New Yorkers need axes, but they actually sold like crazy. And we had tutorials on how to properly fell a Christmas tree. So it's just, you know, one of the things that's been a lot of fun in sort of building this company is just doing something where every day we're able to make decisions and what sort of feels right and what we think is going to be sort of the best experiences for our customers, and really thinking outside the box. I know that's a term that's often overused, but just, you know, you never need to follow what everybody else is doing. In fact, I think the best businesses solve real problems. The best nonprofits, the best social enterprises, right? They are started by people that have identified problems. Very frequently, it's something that they've experienced themselves, and then sort of jump in with a very pragmatic solution. And that's what we're working on, and we're hoping that, you know, as we grow, you know, we can serve as one of many examples of companies that can achieve scale, can be profitable, and can work to solve real problems. So, thank you very much.
That was fantastic. Amazing concept that you're putting into action. So you're growing exponentially really, really fast. And I'm guessing your team is having to make decisions really fast. So talk to us about how you make decisions, these massive decisions that you're having to, you know, move forward, and how are you doing that as a team?
Sure. Well, I think my role sort of as CEO is really to ensure that the team has the resources it needs to help hire, and then to provide the vision. And once everybody knows what we're trying to accomplish, then, you know, we can give real responsibility to people to make decisions. And really, you know, I think one of the challenges for entrepreneurs, right, is that they go quickly from a stage where they're doing everything themselves to having to delegate. And, you know, the great entrepreneurs and the great leaders are able to delegate. People are often afraid to delegate because they feel like it won't get done. It's usually a defensive mechanism, but we try and hire people that are much smarter and more knowledgeable than us, and then they can tell us what we should be doing.
So thank you, Neil. Thanks for being here.
Pleasure.